2024 has been another year full of amazing and fun games, but which games stand above all the rest? That's what we'll be talking about today. With all the games we talked about today, just know these are in no specific order. I do have games I enjoy more than others, and we'll get into that, but ultimately these are all great games in just my opinion. So don't take it to heart. Overall, we'll be talking about 5 or so games that I believe have a great chance at getting a Game of the Year nomination, and I had a great time playing. But before we get into all that, let's talk about some honorable mentions. First off is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Now I know my channel is full of anime fans, especially Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, so most of you probably have this game higher than me, but let me explain. Sparking Zero took me back to a time when I was a child and really just started playing video games. I truly enjoyed the nostalgic feeling I got when playing, but I think many people have forgot that games are meant for fun. Instead of just having fun with the game, it's been turned into a competitive, sweaty mess that is truly not supposed to be. This game was never meant to be balanced, but it also was never meant to be in esports or anything of the sort, and I feel that's what some players online have been turning it into, unfortunately. My next and final honorable mention is Dragon's Dogma 2. This was my first experience in the Dragon's Dogma universe, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, at least towards the beginning. I enjoyed the character customization for my main character and my pawn. I also enjoyed seeing everyone display their creativity making characters from different games and other forms of media, but towards the end of Dragon's Dogma is where I just started losing interest. I felt as if the story definitely died down as the game went on, to the point where I wasn't even aware I was on the final mission. It was just such a letdown and disappointment for the game to come to a conclusion like it did, but I won't let that distract from my overall experience with the game and the enjoyment I did have with it. Now let's finally jump into my actual 5 games I played this year, and I just want to say I don't think there's any way to leave out this game, which is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Now with this being an expansion, I understand if you really feel like it doesn't belong, but this expansion releasing and with all the craze Kasuke created with his marathon of Elden Ring, it really got me to play the game for the first time. So 2024 was the first time I got to experience everything that came along with Elden Ring, and it was a blast. The boss fights are epic and challenging, and that all follows into the expansion Shadow of the Erdtree, and like I said before, this is an expansion, so I wouldn't have a problem replacing this game on my list with a full release that happened this year, like with Black Myth Wukong, another game that was full of challenging bosses and fun exploration through a world I truly enjoyed not only to play through, but also to explore and meet all the creative and interesting characters that inhabited it. Speaking of fun and interesting characters, that brings me to my next game, Final Fantasy Rebirth. This was only my second Final Fantasy experience, which didn't disappoint in any areas like gameplay, characters, world building, and even the mini games, or at least I'll say most of the mini games were really a joy to play. This game is also a beauty to look at, whether that be in or out of the cutscenes. I just enjoyed running around the world and seeing what was possible to do, whether that be out in the wasteland or in a city that's filled to the brim. Now, I will admit that this game is one of the 2 on my list that I haven't completed yet, so as far as the story goes, I can't speak too heavily on that, but after 35 to 40 hours in, I can tell you at least I've enjoyed what I've played so far, and I really don't expect that to change as I continue through the game, but like I said, it's possible. I haven't finished the game, so it could happen. Next on the list is Astro Bot, one of the best reviewed games of the year, and it definitely deserves it. This game is just pure joy to play. It kind of falls into the same situation I was talking to with Sparking Zero, as far as giving me a nostalgic feeling of just pure fun. I missed out on playing Astro's Playroom, so I wasn't aware how fun this platformer had the ability of being, but it's truly amazing. This game has a ton of personality and is easy to pick up and just have a really fun time with, whether it comes to the environment or the music. You'll find something in Astro Bot that'll give you a good time. Stellar Blade, or better known as Stellar BBL, is one of my most enjoyed games of the year. But with all jokes aside, besides the amazing visuals, which has been a trend with a lot of the games we've talked about today, Stellar Blade's combat is also top tier. Just like Wukong, its many challenging bosses and a world that stood out to me since day one were the real reason I believe Stellar Blade was just such a fun game to experience and really dig my teeth into, because it offered almost a full package of what I enjoyed. It had fun and engaging combat, the game ran buttery smooth, the music is outstanding, and the world had my interest the entire time. Now, it's a reason this game isn't my favorite of the year, and that's really because the story was lacking. If I'm being honest, it had a difficult spike with the last 2 to 3 bosses as well that really felt like it came out of nowhere, but besides those 2 things, Stellar Blade was truly fun, an immersive experience, and just a fun game overall to play. Now, the game that stood above all the rest is Metaphor ReFantazio, and this game was truly a surprise. I'm not usually into turn-based games. The last game I can remember playing as a child that was turn-based that I somewhat enjoyed was Pokemon, but earlier this year I did give Persona 3 Reload a chance, and I really fell in love with the game. I wanted to explore more of what Atlas had to offer, so with my experience with Persona and the amazing reviews this game received, it was a no-brainer to give it a try, and I'm glad I did. I'm currently 50 or so hours into the game, and it's something I have to play every day. I'm very invested in a multitude of characters in the story and where it will go from here. The fantasy aspect was a nice change of pace too, instead of being in high school like in the Persona series, and the world in this game is just a blast to explore and just to look at. I didn't speak much of the voice acting in the other games, but I think Stellar Blade, Metaphor both stand out in that aspect as well. It's great in English and in any, well, it's really English and Japanese is the ones I would work with on Metaphor, but if you want to play Stellar Blade in different languages, I believe it's Korean and English, but either way, you can't go wrong with the voice acting in either one. And a lot of the Metaphor's voice acting takes place throughout the whole story, so it really is a nice quality that they've added to the game and shows that they pretty much really care for it besides all the other aspects. Overall, these are just my opinions. I'm sure some of you will have different choices on what was most enjoyable for yourselves, and please let me know that down below in the comment section. Just don't forget that these are all healthy conversations and debates that we as gamers should be able to have without being disrespectful or being judged, so just keep it polite. But it's been your boy Kasuke, and I'm out. Peace.